First guest is Shanee, and she has a new book that today is her release date. I'm almost positive about that. Yes. And her book is called This Time Around. So Kay will be on screen shortly. And
There she is.
there she is. And she's connecting her audio. So let's unmute and then we can hear you as well as see you. So
Hello.
hello, Kay. Welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you for having me.
And happy release date for your book.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to be heading out because I have an appointment, but Rhonda is going to take really great care of you. And we're so excited about having you on the show, as we are all of the Black Odyssey Media authors. And we really are happy about being able to give these authors a push as their books are released, because we know how important it is to have strong sales in the early days of the book release.
Well, I definitely appreciate you guys having me.
Oh yes. Well, let's celebrate it. I mean, the name of the book. Tell us about the book. Tell us about your journey to becoming an author. Let's just jump right into it, because I was looking at your schedule, and it looks like you have jumped right into it. Oh, so what I was going to say though is that you jumped right into it. I see that you have a number of events already lined up, so you're getting out of the gates running, promoting this book.
I have in the past, I guess, 2 months, I've been blessed enough to be on WGN Chicago, ABC 7 Chicago, and Fox 32 Chicago, just to talk about Black romance and This Time Around.
Wow. Okay, so you really have started off with a bang, because I mean, I think everybody in the country knows about WGN.
Well, I mean, I've never had a traditionally released book, and I wanted it to do well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people are telling us what to do, and they said to hire a publicist, and I hired a publicist, and she is amazing.
Wonderful. Now, I don't want anybody to think that you're new to this, because there's probably somebody out there who's working on their first book, and they're saying, "Wow, she did all of that. I need to catch up." But now you're an author of over 40 books.
Yes, ma'am. I published my first book in June of 2018. And
Whoa,
I,
whoa,
I
whoa, 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 whoa. 2018, and you've written 40 books? You've been
yes,
busy.
yes. I'm trying, but you know what? It's so funny because when you surround yourself with greatness, which I feel like I'm with BLP, which is B Love Publications, and there are some amazing authors. So I always just feel a little bit. I mean, I receive all of the compliments and stuff, because I do feel like I've done a lot. Not to minimize what I've done, but the authors that are with BLP, they all work in the same way. So they all have been publishing, there's some with 40, 50, 60, 70 books or whatever. And B Love herself has over 100 books. So I just feel like I'm just a part of, that's just what we do.
Wow. So it sounds like you have a really good community of authors
yes,
that you
yes,
support each other.
yes, most definitely, most definitely. But yeah, I'm not one of those people who, um, like grew up wanting to be an author. There was a small, like when I was in middle school, maybe I've always been a reader. Like I was grounded a lot growing up. So I did a lot of reading because I couldn't, and I'm almost 50. So there was no cell phones and social media. So all I could do is listen to the radio and if that didn't get taken away and read. So I did a lot of reading. And there was a short period of my life when I thought I was going to write a book, but then it was around the same time. It was when I was in middle school, and it was around the same time that I got more involved in sports. And sports kind of, took over, and I didn't have time to even think really about that. So and I got a track scholarship. So I was very much involved in sports, and I didn't even think about writing again until I was in my 40s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so writing was kind of that old friend that you returned to.
Mm-hmm.
That first
Mm-hmm.
love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was just really interesting because people would always say, "Oh, you should write a book because," and I don't know what made people think, people speak stuff into you, that you don't even realize. But they were like, you should write a book. And I was always be like, what would I write a book about? Like, I didn't have any like ideas. And a lot of people are inspired by me and my husband's love story because we're college sweethearts. And we're pushing on almost 27 years in August. We'll be married, and we've been together for 31, I think. So people always, are inspired by our love stories. Like, oh, you should write your love story. But
Yes.
that again, we are almost 50. So there was no social media when we started dating. It was 1993. So no social media, no cell phones. So when I said, I'm like, I don't know what people think happened, because there's really not a lot to say or a lot to tell. But then I was like, okay, so when my schedule freed up, I had both of my children kept us very busy. My daughter was an athlete. She played club volleyball. She ran track. And then my son, he's been DJing since he was 9. So he couldn't drive. so they're now 24 and almost 21. But when he started DJ, he couldn't drive. And then she was in her sports. Neither of them had licenses. So we pretty much spent all of our time driving them around to wherever they needed to be. But when she went away to college, it freed up my schedule because I didn't have to pick her up and be wherever she was. So I had a little bit of free time. I started teaching part-time this same year that she went to college. And I was just like, and I just kind of started writing our love story, and I changed the names, but I did make us both. I ran track. My husband played football, and we went to Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, Illinois. So we just kind of like, I just put all of the places and stuff, but I changed our
Yes.
name. I added some drama. I brought it up to date and put some social media and cell phones and stuff in there. And that was kind of a loosely based
That's
story.
kind of what I'm going to be doing with my first book. My first book was Cheating in the Next Room.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first wrote that book, same as you, we didn't have cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have we had internet, but we had dial up, that preachy sound.
Yep.
AOL, you got
Yep.
mail.
Yep.
That's what was going on at that time. So I'm working on updating that story because this is the 20th year
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
book.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to update the story, kind of reimagine it a little bit, and then put it back out there.
Yes.
And sit my behind down long enough to do it.
Yeah, so I did that, and that was actually the first book I started writing. But I didn't publish it first. I actually ended up publishing a collection of short stories, which was just some stories I was writing just to see if people even liked what I was writing. And I figured out a pen name, which is, Shanee, and I started putting them on a blog, and I would just post the link on my Facebook page just to see if people would like read it and comment,
Right.
whatever. And I ended up taking some of those stories and putting them in a short story. So that was actually the first one that I published, was the short stories, just to kind of get my feet wet and see if people liked it and knew what I was doing. So, and now here I am, almost 6 years later, with my first traditionally published book.
Wow. So that's quite a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't even know where to start with that, because my next question was, before you said all of that, my next question was, what was it that kind of reignited your love for writing?
Mm-hmm.
But as I'm listening to that journey, I can kind of see it was just a process of things.
Mm-hmm. It really was, and I still sometimes don't feel like an author completely. I don't, I'm one of those people who I don't mind giving advice, but I don't necessarily always feel like I'm doing it right. Like even with marriage, like people think they're married for so long and I don't give marital advice. Like I'm like, that's not like what we do, and what works for us doesn't necessarily work for everybody. So I don't like to give out, marriage advice. And the same with like, people's writing process. Like people probably would think I'm crazy if, like I don't even like really have like a real, tried and true process or whatever. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm equipped to tell you that process, but they're like, you wrote this many books. And I'm like, yeah, but everyone is kind of different in their process. If you ask 30 authors what they do, all 30 of those answers are going to probably be different. So I don't, I kind of shy away from that.
So, what is your process? Are you that writer who writes late at night? Do you write early in the morning? Do you have to think about the story for a while before you start writing?
I do, you know what? I do have to think about it a little bit. I kind of have to like let it play out in my head. And the reason for that is because I don't write an outline.
Yes.
I try to write outlines. I've tried a few times and I end up writing a totally different book than whatever I've outlined. For the next book that I'm writing, I'm gonna try that one, outline it again because I just feel like the people who outline, their process is so much smoother and they can write so much faster. But I do kind of play it out. I use the notes in my phone a lot. So whenever something comes to my mind, I'll write down, I put the basics, like I'll put like how old the person is, if it's going to be like a thick woman, a fair skinned woman, a dark skinned woman, if they're going to have natural hair, long hair, what their names are going to be. And maybe like if they have, siblings, I put the siblings names, if their parents are still, alive. So I kind of put those kind of details or whatever in my phone, but it's not like I can't like give someone like, okay, this is what I do. Because they would be like, what is this? But I
Oh,
do, I'm a teacher. So I can't, I just kind of write when the time is free. So mostly it's at night when once we've eaten dinner and stuff like that before bedtime, I just try to get in a few hours a day. My prep periods at work, I try to make sure I write then too.
okay. So let's jump over to your latest book. Release date is today.
Yes, this
Yes.
time around.
Yeah. So do you have the book with you?
You know what? Why don't I have any books with me? Let me text my husband. They're all downstairs. Let me text him and tell him to bring one up.
Okay. Well, and so while we are waiting for the book to come up, tell us all about the book, or tell us
A
about the
copy
story.
of the book. He should be watching, but I just see that he he just said, "Is it on Instagram?" So I don't think he was able to find it. The book is it. I say it's kind of a second chance romance, but it's the first romance didn't really happen because it was a one night stand.
Mhm.
So it is two couples that kind of reunite, but they were never really a couple.
Mm.
Thank you. But this is the book.
Oh, nice cover.
And but yeah, so it's their Tessa is 39 and Cypress is 40, and they are both have their doctorates. They're both professors, coincidentally in the same subjects. And
Mhm.
Tessa's kind of going through like a midlife crisis where she's not happy with her job, she's not happy with the person she's dating. So she just kind of wakes up in the middle of the night and like, I'm done with this job and this man.
Wow.
And she ends it all. And then he's on the other side of town, I mean, other side of the United States, kind of going through the same thing. He's breaking off an engagement. He more recently got his doctorate. So he was teaching at a junior college and he wanted to go to the university level. So he had been job hunting. She just so happened to quit her job. He just so happens to be looking for a job. And that's how they end up in the same space or in the same
Mhm.
town, because he ended up getting the job that she had just resigned from.
Oh.
Yes, and then she has a daughter who is in his class. And throughout the book, it's like before Tessa and Cypress meet, the daughter looks at him as if he's very familiar to her. Like
Uh-oh.
he just keeps looking like, watch, I feel like I know him from somewhere. And he keeps looking at her in the same way. But she just kind of like, oh, he's a nice guy. I'm gonna see if he's married. And if not, I'm gonna see if he'll go on a date with my mom. So she ends up hooking them up on a blind date. And then that's where they see each other again for the first time in 20 years.
Oh, I like this. Would you consider this a romantic comedy?
You know what? I feel like all my books have an element of everything. Like there's times where you're gonna laugh, there's times when you're gonna cry. And hopefully at the end, because all my books end in a happily ever after. So
Mhm.
at the end, you're kind of like satisfied. I try to tie up any loose ends that there might be, so there's no questions about what happened to this person or that person. But there's lots of funny moments in the movie, but I don't think it's really. I wouldn't say it's like a romantic comedy though.
Okay. But there might be a couple of funny moments in it,
Yeah,
but
there are some funny situations that happen.
okay, well, that makes sense. I mean,
Mhm.
and I think that's real life. There are going to
Yeah,
be
right.
funny moments.
Yep, real life. Yep. And then there's a lot of like, I feel like self-discovery, because as I said, Tessa is going through kind of like a midlife thing. She was raised by a single mother and she never knew her father. So she's kind of on a quest to find out, who she is and, who her father is. Her mother didn't give her a lot of information about it. So she kind of had to do it on her own. So she's
Right.
on this kind of like a self-discovery as well to find about her background and her ancestry. So I think that's kind of a cool when you can find out things about yourself that you haven't known for the past 40 years.
Well, I love the fact that you write about romance and Black love. Partially because I think that social media has gotten us to a point where love is just a game and love is just an afterthought. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
don't worry about love. Go for the bag. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Right.
you know, I'm not ready to get married until I'm 40. So young
Yep.
love is starting to
Yep.
go away because no matter how old you are, if you're in your 20s, they think you're too young.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
now it's just all about the finances, all about the games, and you're not sure who you can trust. And I
Mm-hmm.
think people, but that's not always the case. It's just what's popular in social media. So
Mm-hmm.
we need to tell these stories about real love,
Mm-hmm.
about that Black love does still exist.
Yeah, and that's what I've been like on the different news stations that I was on. That's really what I've been trying to talk about too, is because I don't think that just even today, I don't watch a lot of TV because I'm always writing. So in my
Right.
free time I'm always writing. But I was downstairs, my grandmother lived with us, so I was downstairs and she was cooking something and she had her soap operas on. And a commercial came on and I noticed in the commercial that the father was Black, the mother was white, and the kids were beige.
Yeah.
I don't see, like, I was like, and I said to my grandma, so you never see like a Black family. Like it's always like an interracial or racially ambiguous family, which is fine. Like you love who you love, but it just bothers me so much that in the media, whether good or bad, you never see that strong Black love foundation. Like they don't show it. And a lot of times I feel like our young people, when they see this, they kind of lose faith in it before they are even experiencing it.
Right.
Because they haven't seen it, on TV and in the media in the way that it's portrayed. So, and I'm very like, as a teacher, I teach high school, but this year I'm teaching sixth grade. Um, but regardless whether it's sixth grade or high school, I'm very transparent with my students as far as like, I share a lot of personal things, as far as like how long I've been married, where I met my husband, I share about my kids' journeys or whatever. I have one child who, got a athletic scholarship. I have one child who had absolutely no interest in going to college. So just like you have these, different things, but I always make sure that I share and I show them like a picture of my family, that my 86-year-old grandmother lives with me. Because even that family love with Black people, they don't even portray that in like a positive light. It's like we don't love each other in romantic relationships. We don't love each other in friendships. We don't love each other in, family relationships. It's like they act like we don't know how to love. So I'm always very intentional about sharing, my family background, because I do want, young people to know, like Black people, we love each other and we love hard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I know you're going to be at a number of different places over the next few months. You're going to be at the 16th annual Great Midwest Book Festival,
Yeah.
the Boozy Book Tour, which is something I might need to join you on because right there. And then you have Lights, Camera, Action, Love and Books, the Chicago Urban Book Expo, Southern Hearts and Signed Kisses. So that's a lot. Are you going to be on any panels at these locations,
You
or
know
are you
what?
any?
I'm not gonna be. I know the Boozy Book Tour is a very much more small and intimate setting, so I'll get to interact more with readers in that aspect. But with the others, I don't think I'm gonna be on. I don't recall anyone asking me to be on any panels. This is really like my first time going to a book event that's like that I have to like fly to. Like I've done the Chicago Urban Book Expo a couple of times and some local things, but
Mhm.
this year I was like, you know what? I'm out there. I'm out. I'm trying to retire and write full time. And I was like, and the only way I'm going to get out there is if the readers know who I am and that I exist. So I'm like, I got to put myself out there. So any event that I was invited to, if I could fit it in my schedule, I was like, I'll be there.
Right. Okay, it makes a lot of sense. So now what's the first festival on your schedule?
The next one, I just this past weekend, I did the I Am She Expo
Oh,
with a woman by the, it was in Naperville, Illinois, a woman by the name of Joyce Dawkins. She actually put that on, and it was really good, a nice vendor event. I did really well. Like, again, I'm just trying to get exposure locally, because a lot of the local people, like my readers are from a lot of different places, but a lot of the people locally don't know me. So I definitely got myself out there. So people like in the Chicagoland area are like, oh, like, wait a minute, you wrote all these books? That we heard that so many times when they came to my table, like, wait, you're Shanee? Like, you, wait, these are all you? I think they thought I was a store at first, and I was just selling the books or whatever. So I got to meet a lot of amazing people this weekend. And then the next one, I believe, I feel like it must be the one in June, the Midwest book tour. I think is the next bigger event that I'll be doing.
okay. And but isn't it funny how more people know you nationally than locally? I think
Yeah,
that's
it is.
so many times.
Yeah.
I guess we're so busy on social media, we're so busy
Mhm.
promoting that we don't always do the local stuff. So
Mhm.
I think it's good. You're probably gonna
Mhm.
find a whole new audience local.
Yeah, I've done like 3 events just in my, like, the city that I work in. I've done 2 events, which is, I live in Kenosha, Wisconsin, but I work in Zion, Illinois, but it's only 20 minutes from each other.
Mm.
I grew up in Illinois. I mean, right over the border of Kenosha, in Illinois, so it's not that far. So even just in the past like month or whatever, I've done these very local events, and even then, people were like, "Wait a minute, like you wrote these, you wrote all these or whatever." So yeah, and they're like, "You're from here," and I'm like, "Yeah." So yeah, so it's definitely very interesting how you have this broad support system, but then the narrow one is not, not as strong.
Uh, so Tony Bonita wants to know if you were on the Shara's page yesterday.
The shit.
The Shara.
Oh, Lashia. Yes, yes, yes. I was in her group, like posting some stuff. Yes, I was.
Boom. And if anybody knows, Tony Bonita knows.
Yeah, I posted a few things in there today too. Lashira said that she offered her group to me so I can get to know some more people. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
I like when people do that.
Yeah, yeah, it was very nice.
It's part of going back to being a part of that community
Mhm.
where you kind of support each other and look out for each other.
Yes, yes.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I did put your website in the chat, www.authorkshani.com.
Yep.
Okay. And do you have your appearances listed on your website as
I
well?
do. I've been trying. I maintain my own website, so I try to lately, because I've had so many different things going on. But I do have the. I think I have all the locations that I'll be going, and then like the media appearances. I have those videos from like the news stations posted on there. Then of course, my books or whatever, and I also have children's books that I write under my government name.
Right.
So those are on there as well.
Your government name.
The government name.
It makes a lot of sense. If you're going to be writing these romance
Yeah.
books
Because I'm a
under
teacher,
their
so
pen
these
name.
kids, yeah, the kids, and I do try to, at the high school level, I teach like entrepreneurship, marketing, consumer management. But with the entrepreneurship and marketing, it's hard not to share with them what I do, because I have so many different examples of just
Mhm.
in my real life of like, okay, like if you do this. So I share with my students that I'm an author, but I never share my pen name. Now the children's books, especially at the 6th grade level, I've actually read some of my books to the kids. But again, they just know it's Katrina Anderson. So it's just Miss Anderson. So they don't, I'm not, granted, I think a few of them did catch the news episode, but they don't pay, their memory is so short, they don't even know what my pen name is. But yeah, I don't share my pen name, but they do, they are always aware that I'm an author. just because I feel like it's a good accomplishment. And also, you know, when you teach entrepreneurship and you want to support kids, I have had students who were interested in writing a book. So
Okay.
so it's good to share that just in case you have someone that's interested in something like that.
Okay. Oh, by the way, Tony said that she introduced herself to you. Yes, she introduced herself to you when
Yeah.
she.
Yep.
Okay, just want to make sure you
Yep.
remember. So now, what are some other ways that people might be able to reach out to you if they want more information about your books, or even if they just want to connect?
Yes. Okay. So my at the end of all of my books, I put like my reading groups and all the my social media and stuff. But I am author K Shanee on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X or Twitter, whatever they're calling it these days. On all the social media platforms, it's all author K Shanee. And you know, people inbox me, I reply, all that fun stuff, all that fun stuff.
Okay, I love it. I love an author who replies.
Hmm. Yeah, that's why I stopped writing series because I was like, we not about to. There's too much anxiety because when I tell you, as soon as they read the last page, they'd be like, "When the next book coming out? When is part 2 coming out?" I was like, I can't handle this pressure, so I don't even know when the last time I wrote a series.
Too funny. Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the interview. But if you hold your book up one more time, there we go. This time around, today is release day. So please click on the link. Let's order this book. Let's support this book because the first few days of a book's lifespan
Yes,
are really, really important.
yes, yes, yes. And thank you all so much. I really, really appreciate you having me on.
And I appreciate you being here. Best wishes to you. And I'm going to be on the lookout as much as I can support from afar because unfortunately I'm not in Chicago. I'm
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
but I will be ordering the book. So thanks for coming on the show and keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great one.
You too.
Bye-bye.